Hi folks, Dr. Leitner here, and this video is an overview of Chapter 9, Elements of the Arts of our textbook, Experiencing the Humanities. And this chapter goes over four terms that are specifically deal with visual art, such as painting, sculpture, photography, architecture, but could also apply to any form of art. So they're terms you need to know, they're terms you need to use, especially in this module where we're talking about painting, but pretty much in any analysis of art, you're going to want to be using these terms, and I'll be looking for these. Okay, so let's talk about tension. Tension is the pairing of opposites in a work of art, and so if you're looking at pairing of opposites, there has to be two things. So it's not enough to say there's tension in this art, in this work, and drop it. You need to say what the tension is between. And so if we take something like the Mona Lisa, okay, many people have struggled to figure out what is so beautiful about this painting. But the tensions in it are one of the things that even unconsciously make it very appealing. So we have the tension between, say, the smoothness of her skin and the wrinkles of her garments. Okay, the ruggedness of the background and the kind of thin diaphanous veil she's wearing. You have the darkness of her garments and the kind of the lightness of her skin. You have the direct look of the eyes and the very faint smile. All of these things are kind of opposites, and they surprise us in the way that this work of art kind of holds them all together. And it's not a chaotic mess. It's opposites that are somehow dealt with harmoniously. So when you're looking at tensions, another way to think about this is when you're watching a movie, and let's say the movie is kind of predictable, and you say, well, I think this is going to happen, and that actually happens, and that happens through the whole movie, that's going to be an awful movie, right? And so tension usually has some element of surprise, where you're expecting one thing and you get something else. Okay, so talking about medium. Medium is just the materials used to make a work of art. And medium comes from being in the middle. Okay, so you have the artist and they have some conception, and then they make a work of art out of some objects, whether it's words or whether it's wood or whether it's paint. And then there's the audience who is viewing that thing. Well, the work of art is the thing in the middle. And so that's where we get the term medium. Now, the plural of medium is media. Okay, so the news media is the thing in the middle. It's when an event happens, the media reports on it, we listen to the media. So that's, again, where medium comes from. Now, the media is the stuff or material out of which the art is made, and different stuff, different media, there's trade-offs. Okay, so let's take, for example, an oil painting. Okay, well, oil painting it has kind of these substantial thick layers of paint. It's going to give it a richness, it's going to give it a kind of substantialness, it's going to give it a kind of 3D effect, versus a flat painting where you might see like a watercolor. Okay, it's going to be more sparse, it's going to be more simple. One is not better than the other, but it's going to create different effects in the viewer. Often the medium is going to define the form. So you think of oil painting versus watercolors. Those are kind of two different forms of painting. Music is made up of notes. That's the medium. Poetry, novels are made up of words. That's the medium. So medium it's super important. You should identify it even if you don't do much with it. You might say, okay, this is an oil painting, or this is this is a woodcut, or whatever. Even if you don't do a whole lot with it, you should identify it, show that you know what the medium of this work is. Perspective. Perspective does not mean like point of view or kind of the way someone is thinking about something. Perspective in art refers to the three-dimensional quality of a work. And if you look at some work paintings before, say, 1500 or so, they had not quite figured out perspective yet. And you see these. So this is about a 1300. This is a Madonna and Child from the year 1300 by the Italian artist Cimabue. And what he has done here is these angels are supposed to be in the background. They're supposed to be further back from Madonna and Child here, but they really just kind of look like smaller people. She kind of looks like a giant, and they kind of look like smaller people, and Jesus here just looks like a smaller human. Not the effect of depth has not been figured out yet. So whereas we take another painting, okay, this is Landscape with the Fall of Icarus. This is around, this is 1555. This is when people were starting to figure out perspective, and you can see, the background here is going to be lighter. Okay, things farther away are lighter. Things closer up are darker. Things farther away are smaller. Things closer up are larger. And in general, when you're looking at a painting and when you're talking about perspective, the things that are larger and closer to the front are going to be more important, and the things that are smaller and in the back are going to be less important. Now that's a generality, because this painting is called The Fall of Icarus. Icarus is a super important mythological figure, and his father created these wings made out of feathers and wax, and his father told him, we're going to escape from this prison using these feathers and wax I created, and don't fly too close to the sun and don't fly too close to the ocean. You need to fly in the middle. So Icarus is a metaphor for people who overreach, people who go too high and try to do too much, because Icarus flew close to the sun, his wax on his wings melted, and he fell and drowned. So this is the Fall of Icarus, Landscape with the Fall of Icarus, and Icarus is way down here in the corner. He's barely visible in the painting, despite the fact the painting is titled after him. And the world, no one in this world even notices. The world just kind of keeps going on without him. So this is a painting where there is some tension, meaning the tension is, why is this painting called Icarus? And yet Icarus, you can't even see him. He's just like a pair of legs here, and no one's even paying any attention to him. They're looking up and away, and everyone's looking in other places. So here, that's an example of tension. That's an example of perspective. And not everybody interprets this the same. If I were to interpret this, I would say this person, okay, this is by Peter Bruegel, and he is suggesting that Icarus is, maybe he's a little bit tragic, but life goes on. There's nothing to worry about. This is one guy, and he's not very important. Whereas you have this image of Icarus, and this Icarus is heroic. He's tragic. He's beautiful. He's admired by these water nymphs. So you can take the same mythology and have a different interpretation of it, and that's another key to interpreting these works. Okay, let me just quick note on this painting. This painting inspired two of the greatest 20th century poems. One, Musée des Beaux-Arts by W.H. Auden, and the other just has the same name as the painting, which is Landscape with the Fall of Icarus by William Carlos Williams. So this is a painting that has a lot of traction in our culture. Icarus is a figure who has a lot of traction in and has had a lot of traction for many years. Okay. Let's talk about plans. Okay, the plan of an artwork is the pattern, organization, or map system of a work of art, and another term for this is arrangement or composition. So this is Death of Saint Francis by Giotto, 1325, and you can see this is what's called a radial plan. Okay, so you don't have lines radiating out from St. Francis here, but every character almost every character, is looking at him. Okay, so don't think of, when you're looking at the structure, don't necessarily you're not necessarily looking at lines. You're looking at kind of the focusing, all the focusing elements or the focusing energy of the work. Okay, so this would be a radial plan because there's a point from which lots of lines are radiating out from it. Giorgione's Sleeping Venus is another example of this. So you have a line with the landscape, you got a line with her torso, all of these converging about the middle of Venus's body here. You've got a line here with this blanket, and so this would be another example of a radial plan. Okay. Madame Cézanne is an example of a pyramidal plan, okay, where you have a point at the top and a wide base at the bottom. This plan tends to suggest kind of something heavenly, something angelic, something pointing up, okay, with a solid base at the bottom. Another example here, this is Raphael's Madonna, okay, and so you've got this, again, it's a triangular structure with the Madonna at the top in the middle, and all these figures kind of admiring her on the base. So this is kind of the spirit, she represents kind of the heightened spirituality of this painting. Another plan is rectangular or columnar, or like a column that holds something up. This is Blue Boy by Thomas Gainsborough, and there's first of all this tension here because here we have a boy who looks kind of like a Louis XV or something, and why is he looking like a king? There's kind of a tension there. Boys should look boyish, and he looks kind of regal. Also, he's dressed up in, this is actually the painting here. This is 1770, but his dress is even out of date for what he is for the time period. So he's dressed earlier than what you would expect. So, and why is a boy in the pose, the rectangular kind of pose, again suggests this solidity, this regalness that maybe doesn't seem boyish. So that's what makes this painting so interesting. Next plan is the parallel or bisected plan. So this is School of Athens, again by Raphael, and this one you have this is Plato, and this is Aristotle, and so this is kind of Team Plato over here, and this is Team Aristotle over here, and so this is how he's organized it. It's a symmetrical kind of painting. Okay, you have these symmetrical figures on the bottom, and you have these figures here that kind of mirror each other. Okay, and let's see, you have mixed figures. Okay, this is first of all, it has perspective. Okay, you can see there's kind of it's like you're looking down this hallway here, and you've got radial lines all coming in to Jesus's face here, and you've also got columnar figures on the sides. So this would be a mixed plan. And finally, we have a breakaway plan. Okay, breakaway plan. Okay, it's not exactly chaos. Okay, but it's kind of they're purposely bending all of these plans. Okay, so this is The Eternal City by Peter Bloom, 1937, and he did this when Rome, which is the Eternal City, was going through kind of this fascist takeover and kind of the chaos and the breakdown that was happening. So this is a painting that expresses that, and this is the type of art you tend to see in happens more in the 20th century, not so much before the 20th century. Guys, these are the terms I want you to think about. Thank you for listening, and keep up the good work.